will appeal to all of them to think about the common man on this.
Looking at what is happening in Nigeria today, are we moving forward?
Things is both for the poor and the rich. It's not people that are rich alone.
Something is going on that they are not telling Nigerians.
Something is really going on that Nigerians need to be a focal point on Pace TV for you to be informed on developments in Nigeria and around the world. You're welcome to your program Focal Point on Pace TV. My name is Kehinde Ojo, and as usual on this program we look at issues making the headlines, issues that are prominent on the front burner within the polity. And today we'll be going straight to Abeokuta. We'll be going to the hilltop where the former president Olusegun Obasanjo is resident, and we'll be looking at the recent developments as relates to him dumping the People's Democratic Party and some activities that led to this particular event. My name is Kehinde Ojo, and today on the program I have with me somebody who is a very, very, very known voice. He is a public affairs analyst, a commentator on issues of democracy, growth and development. He's no other person than Librose Oshoma. You're welcome to Focal Point.
Thank you very much for this opportunity once again.
Now, how should the electorate, react to former President Obasanjo's actions, clearly, as it relates to President Goodluck Jonathan and their decision during the polls?
For me, I would say they should relate with those sentiments the way I relate to them. I see them as so infinitesimal as if they never existed. And what were his reasons? Till date, Obasanjo had not come out to say, oh, I love Nigerians so much. That was why I brought this person. This person had performed creditably well. And remember how he denied and distanced himself from Yaradua, a man that Nigerians insisted that this man was not strong enough. And Obasanjo said, no, Moro, are you dead? They say you are dead. He's laughing. And when the man died, he said, I asked him for his health status, and he said he was fine. And so you see how cunning this man can be. And so now coming again, after insisting that Goodluck Jonathan must be the president, manipulated the process, and at the end of the day, he became president. What was he expecting to derive from that presidency? And so why is he complaining? And so once you're able to put a finger on that, for me, I have long ago, Obasanjo wanted relevance. He thought he could still rule through these same people. And when it became obvious that it was not possible for him, he started this barrage of criticism. And for me, the criticism had always been there. I'm not speaking for this president because also, like I had told some people, if not the fact that the president had performed below expectations in the eyes of Nigeria with the goodwill that brought him into office in 2011, he frittered away, and then his critics also helped him in pushing, him down the drain by magnifying this criticism. If not, who would have been listening to Obasanjo by now?
So you're saying Nigerians should just not listen?
Nigerians should. The solution to our problems lies in us. And 2011, we listened to Obasanjo. 2007, we listened to him. And if you listen to him again, you will just wake up after the election or some year later that, look, this man is not the solution to our problem. And then we start on a merry-go-round again, trying to look for solutions. So what we should do now is sit down, look at the man in the mirror, assess and talk to the man in the mirror. Where do we want to go? How do we want to go about it? And then ask the relevant questions. For me, the relevant questions are, the president, you're saying, give me another tenure. What have you done so far to warrant another tenure? And what did you not do? And why didn't you do them? And if given another tenure, what are you going to do differently? And how are you going to do them? For the man that wants to take over that position, yes, you have been there before as a military head of state. It's a different scenario now. You're saying you want to fight corruption. How are you going to fight it? With this kind of politicians, everyday politicians that we know that are around you, are you sure you'll still be able to look at these people in the face and say, you are corrupt? Are you sure you'll be able to put Nigeria back in the track of the road of progress where Obasanjo missed it in 1999? And how are you going to achieve all of this? And give us time frame so that when you come into office, we should be able to hold you accountable. Or not like Obasanjo that told us 200 days in office, power failure will be a thing of the past. Only for him to get there and he told us, I didn't know the problems were this enormous. And so that we don't begin to hear those, oh, corruption in Nigeria is so enormous. Oh, PDP spent 16 years, give us 16 years. Nigerians did a bargain for that. Tell us how you're going to do it differently. Because most especially, now that you have more than half of the members who were in PDP, who ran this nation aground with you, pretending to be progressive now. So how are you going to distinguish and differentiate between these people and the genuine, statesmen?
Okay. Somebody even said that maybe Nigeria is now in one party, state.
Yes, it is. Long ago. If you discover also, in 1999, after the election, Obasanjo collapsed all the existing political parties. Yeah. And it became a one-party state. Everybody was in, PDP. Everybody decamped into PDP. He knew how to play his game. He started distributing largesse and all of that. And that led us to the monster PDP that we have today. And PDP became its own enemy because it was not built on ideology, but on a background of people that wanted power and wanted to enrich themselves with whatever power would give. And so that became PDP. And immediately after that, now what you're saying is that now that there's every likelihood that you might have a new cook in the kitchen, all of them are going back to the kitchen. So that's basically what you have. And so if care is not taken, if they win the election, so you might still have the same crisis that you have in PDP now, where they will still be their own enemy, because it's always a marriage of strange bedfellows.
Possibly we may also see phrases like a new APC.
Yes.
And basically we're beginning to divide ourselves along, religious, ethnic, and other primordial sentiments. What does this portend for Nigeria's democracy?
We had always, if you remember, even in the First Republic, you had Awolowo in the Southwest. You had Zik, who, although, pretended to be a nationalist, more of a nationalist, but he was more recognized by his people. And then you have the Sardauna of Sokoto and his lieutenants in MPC. And so we were divided along ethnic lines. And then people related with these political parties because first and foremost, it addressed their cultural need. If you remember, the action group was an offspring of the Egbe Omo Oduduwa that was formed to address the cultural needs of the Yorubas, And so, but now, what you have is a system where you have proliferation of churches and all kinds of sects in Islam. And so also the gluten population. So for you to address political issues now, you will need to appeal to the sentiment of these various religious groups, cultural groups, and sentiments. And so that is why the moment there is an election like this, you begin to hear, oh, it's a Muslim, it's a Christian, it's not a proper Muslim, or it's from our side, it's not from our side. Because we see governance as an opportunity to enrich ourselves and not a service to the people. And that is why even when Ibori stole, and EFCC went to Ugara to arrest him, he said, like, yes, he stole our money, yes, it's our son. And they protected him. But if it's somebody else, they will say, he's a thief, and he should go. And so that's basically, we really don't, even if our son steals, he's our son, leave him, we'll deal with him. If it's somebody else, that's when we call him a thief, because now we have reduced governance to the level of it is for us alone. And that's what you see play out also in this election. And then people saying it is easy to appeal to sentiment. Yes, he's a religious bigot, he's not. And then you see also the candidates trying to relate with the culture of the people anytime they go to campaign. That's why you see opposition when they go to Igbo land, they try to dress in their traditional attire. When the president goes to Hausa land, he tries to dress in their traditional attire to relate with them. Not about the message now, not about what he has to offer. Oh, he looks like us. Yes, he can even wear our clothes. You know, these are sentiments that we discuss, and we leave the main issues. And that is why when people even talk about address issues. There are some people, you ask them, okay, what are the issues? They don't even know what the issues are. And so we're highly sentimental, highly religious, and less godly. Okay. So that's why all of these problems are happening.
Before we round up the program, we'll just take this break, then we'll come back, we'll take a few issues, and we'll call it a wrap. You're still watching Focal Point on Pace TV. My name is Kehinde Ojo, and I still have my guest here in the studio, Librose Oshoma. Now let's look at the issue of unity. Recently I was talking to a number of people, and they told me that probably Nigeria may just be going the way of Yugoslavia and Congo and Sudan. Do you agree with this?
There was an article I wrote, and I titled "Divided We Stand." I try to trace our political ideologies, our different political ideologies, our cultural ideologies, and then our brand of politics in the First Republic, and how distinct and diverse it was, and then our current attempts at federal structure that even led to the death of the first military head of state. And so I discovered that truly we are not a united country. It's impossible. And I also agree with the late stage Chief Obafemi Awolowo, who said we are just a geographical location. We are a nation. We're not a country. We are a nation. We're a diverse nature, lumped together in a geographical location. And so where you have the Bibio nation, you have the Efik nation, you have the Ijaw nation, you have the Hausa nation, you have the Fulani nation, you have the Doma nation, and all of that. And so you find that when there is a common enemy amongst these people, that is why you hear we are Northerners. But the moment that common enemy is gone, then you now begin to hear, oh no, I'm first and foremost. In Nigeria. No, I'm first and foremost an Egba man. Before I become a Yoruba man, before a Westerner, before a Nigeria. And first and foremost, an Ijebu man, like Awolowo once said. And so even Brahma Desai echoed the same sentiment. And so you now begin to ask, are we truly united? If you remember also, ACN then, one of their focal campaign point was regionalism and true federalism, until the alliance with the politicians from the north.
So what happened to the agenda?
Because if you look at the APC and the MPC, Sardauna's ideology, it was never, the ideology of the North alone. Let's come together, like Naji described it once, that when you have a glutton in a family, he insists that you eat together because he knows he will eat more. And even though then Obafemi Awolowo had said, look, we can take this nation to the path of greatness if only we would identify our various strengths and work from the units to the center. And that was why also Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe said that if no matter how incompatible we are, we can work together if only we agree on certain issues and agree to disagree on others. And the only way you can agree to agree and agree to disagree is to come together and say, look, this is my area of strength, this is my area of weakness. But a situation where you sit down at the middle and want to lord your decisions over everybody, whether it agrees with their ideology or not, will never progress. We'll just be deceiving ourselves that we're united, while we know that we're not united. It's only at election time like this we pretend to be united. And once that is gone, you see the unity will fall like a pack of cards. That is why in every government, the average Nigerian will not see the development that comes to his people, but the fact that his person is not seated on the cabinet. His person is not represented in the cabinet. Oh, there's no Yoruba man in this cabinet. There's no Igbo man in this cabinet. There's no Hausa man here. There's no Bini man here. There's no Ibibio man here. All of this. And then you see, when people talk about, oh, Niger Delta now, because it's easy now, we've carved out the South region, the Niger Delta, and then some persons will tell you, the way the president is going, he pretends and behaves as if the Niger Delta is only Ijaw. You know, because these are the people now that are executing the contract, which should ordinarily not be. Whether it's an Hausa man, provided the average Nigerian can get the basic necessity of life. There's food on the table, there's shelter, there's clothing, you have access to power, you have access to education, you have access to all of these basic things. Nobody ordinarily would bother. But the moment we now begin to see, when you are there, your brothers will feed fats. And then once you leave, the next man gets there, his brothers will feed fat. And that's where we now began. This agitation started. It's our turn to rule. It's our turn to rule. And it won't help us.
And that's why we hear such words like, today is not forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, now, if you are to advise, because we want you to tell us what is the true way, the true road that leads to attaining to true nation.
Yeah, we had thought that the current administration was on the path of getting it with the, introduction of the proposed, what you call confab. And they were, fantastic recommendations, that emanated from that meeting. And then also coupled with the ones that came from NADECO, one would have expected that we make, because it had always been the issue. Everybody had come to say, look, the center is too bogus. It was a creation of the military, even though they died for it. One of them died for it. The center is too bogus. Decentralize the center. I cannot have a mango tree in my compound, and for me to assess the mango, I will need to go back to Abuja to get permit. At the end of the day, the mango belongs to nobody. The man who is overseeing it is far from the land where the mango is situate, and the man who owns the land where it is situate does not have a stake in it, and so he can steal from it, and anybody can steal from it. And so why don't you allow powers to go back to the federating unit? They will donate power to the center, for the purpose of peaceful coexistence. You can keep also a form of percentage from some natural resources for even distribution. But that currently what we operate is bogus and is not sustainable, where you have situations where you have everybody wants you to go to Abuja, and then you go to Abuja, you are so distant from your people, and there's a disconnect. And the day you are out of Abuja and back to your people like Obasanjo, you now begin to see clearly. But if you are with your people, and that mango tree situates in your land, the proceed from mango tree is derivable by the people and then used to develop the areas. You see, everybody will have a stake in that system, and no, Abuja will be less attractive, and the positions of councillorship will be more attractive than will be in a senator. And that is why in America, a mayor, just like in London, a mayor is as mayor of Greater London area. He houses the minister, the prime minister, and so he's as strong as the minister. And the mayor of Miami-Dade, for example, controls even the seaports in Miami. And so, but he has a percentage of tax that he must contribute to the center. But a situation where the center wants to be involved in almost any and everything, and you cannot be in Abuja and oversee the road in Orumukokwane, oversee the road in Amuvi, in Arochukwu, or oversee the road in Arugungu. It's not possible. Those days we had federal highway maintenance offices in these areas. But now, because of budgeting and corruption, it is even difficult to maintain these roads. So I see no reason why the federal government would want to have a secondary school in Chagam. Leave it to the local people. They know how to. And then you can, if you say you want to have secondary schools, you can have few that will augment the needs of the people. We saw how the great University of Ife was developed from cocoa fund. Until date, now that we have oil, we cannot even boast of such a university. Apart from the few mushroom universities that the president just established, we can't even boast of a university properly so-called. So until you go back to these regions and begin to take powers from the bottom to the top, you don't give powers from top to bottom. Nigeria will still just be going around in this circle. At every election, some people will throw up one person and say it's the Messiah to come, only for us to realize that it's not.
So you're saying that the way to go is through federalism?
The way to go is through federalism, and the people must truly agree that they want to. You just remember the referendum not too long ago in Scotland, and the people agreed who want to remain, despite of the fears expressed by certain persons. And so I know that the benefits for us to coexist are more than the disadvantages. If you give the people the power, they will naturally vote to stay together. There are so many intermarriages, you know, and those days you could send your child from Lagos to Bauchi to school, but now nobody would dare send a child from here to Okene to school for fear of this militancy and all of that. And so we need to address all of these issues, and the earlier we address them, the better for us.
Yes, sir. I want to thank you for the sake of people like us who are married, from across the Niger.
Exactly.
I think it's better we stay together.
Yes.
My mother is from the north, so it's better we stay together as Nigeria. Librose, thank you for being our guest.
My pleasure, always.
And soon we'll bring you back to look at some other issues, making the headlines.
Anytime, just give me enough notice.
Yes, you've been watching Focal Point, and at this point I want to say thank you for being our guest. Another edition will be coming to you, and we'll be bringing somebody else to look at some other issues, on the front burner as it relates to the Nigerian polity, democracy and development. My name is Kehinde Ojo. Do have a wonderful, wonderful day.